and then we can start. So please, can you just do another minute or two, and then we can start the meeting. Thank you. Okay, it's 2 minutes after 9, so good morning again, and welcome everybody to this pre-bid meeting for contract 3012, that is the professional services for the design and construction supervision of ancillary buildings. I'd like to remind you as you come in, please switch off your cameras. Your mics are probably already switched on. Please switch off your cameras as you come in. The agenda for this morning, the welcome that we've done, we're going to talk a little bit about the safety moment. We have some housekeeping rules that we'll talk about and introduce the presenters. And we'll go into the main presentations for this particular contract. After that, we will go into a question and answer session, and then we close. So we can go to the next slide. Safety moment. It's prudent. We're working in the situ, highlands areas. So we just need to note to every participant to take particular care as you drive up the mountains. The roads are slippery, particularly in winter like this. We have what they call black ice and caves. And in the project area, you go past Muteng Pass. We have a lot of potholes and animals on the roads, as well as children as well. So please, if you have to drive up at any stage, pay particular attention to safe driving principles. Drive slowly, drive nicely. Safe following distances should be observed, and try not to drive at night as much as possible. While I'm here as well, I think I should note that since we are in the pandemic, we should also be taking extreme care of ourselves, even as the other third wave has been spoken about. It's already here. So we continue to observe the guidelines, washing hands, wearing masks at all times. Okay, so the housekeeping rules for this presentation. This is the Teams meeting, as most of you have already seen from the first slide. We have presenters from LHTA who will be talking, and you will note that you are muted. You won't be able to speak. This event is recorded. The recording will be posted on the website. On that website, lhta.org.ls. So in case you missed a part of it, or due to some reason or the other, you will still have an opportunity to go to the website and view it as many times as you can. If you have any queries, we have chat functionality in Teams. If you look up the top, it's next to, there's an icon for participants, for showing participants. Next to that, there's a chat box there. So if you go there, you click in there, you can write your question down. At any time, we'll be monitoring that space as well. Then, so that at the end of the presentation, we will be able to respond to certain of the questions, to selected questions to you guys. All questions will be responded in writing through clarifications following the event. At the end, as we've said, there's going to be a question and answer session right at the end of the presentation. Just to note there that, as I said, all questions will be answered formally and in writing. Please note that this is a tendering process. We do not want any contact from the bidders to any members of the LHTA by any means whatsoever. All communications should be done through the email procurement@lhwp2pmu.co.ls. It is there. All communications, please. So these presentations and future site visits are for information purposes only. So whatever we say is basically to help you to focus or to understand key aspects of the bids. What is going to be contractual is the RFP, the addenda, and any officially written down responses from LHTA. Those are contractual, and those are what you're going to base your submissions on. So my name is Thomas Chivese. I am the discipline lead for this contract and other advanced infrastructure contracts. With me is Mehaitso Kanetsi, who's a civil engineer in the advanced infrastructure. We have Mempo Moeletsi, who is a contracts engineer in the LHTA as well as presenting. So they will be presenting certain sections as we go along. So I'm going to give you basically the big picture for this project. And then the rest of my team will go into the specifics. So we have the phase 2 overview. This is the agenda of the big picture presentation. We're going to talk about the anti-corruption policy. We're going to speak generally about the preferential procurement, environmental mitigation, community engagement, SHAKE framework, and big bid guidelines. So this project started back in the 1980s with a treaty in 1986, LHWP treaty, and this is followed by phase 2 agreement of 2011. So basically the overall objective is to supply water to South Africa from the Lesotho Highlands with associated other benefits to Lesotho, some projects, infrastructure projects, and as well as the hydropower. Phase 2 governance, this project is being run by 2 countries, the government of Lesotho and the government of South Africa. These are represented by the Lesotho Highlands Water Commission, Within that body, there are representatives from each of the governments. And below that, the implementing agencies are LHDA, Lesotho Highlands Development Authority, TCTA, Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority from the South African side. So under the Lesotho Highlands Water Commission, we have the two entities, the implementing entities that we spoke about, LHDA and TCTA. For phase 2, though, the physical works are all in the city. Therefore, the LHDA is responsible for the implementing of the physical works. We have the LHDA board. Within it, we have this subcommittee, phase 2 subcommittee. And within the LHDA, we have the project management unit, the PMU, of which we are part as the presenting team and others. And below that, we have a lot of consultants that we have engaged that report to the PMU and the LHDA. And the consultants have procured or will procure contractors who will report to them. We also have panel of experts and other stakeholders who are in the mix assisting in the designs and other works. Phase 2 scope. So we will, most of us will be aware of the phase 1. If you look at the picture on your right, we're aware of the phase 1A and B. 1A basically is the Katsi project, which entails the Katsi Dam and the transfer tunnel that takes water to South Africa through Muyela. And phase 1B is the Mohali Dam and tunnel, that the Mohali scheme takes water into the Katsi reservoir. It basically augments the water that is in the Katsi reservoir. That's phase 1B. And now phase 2 is the Podihadi Dam and transfer tunnel, which is basically doing the same thing that the Mohali, the phase 1B, is doing, augmenting the Katsi reservoir. And the water goes through to South Africa through the Free State and past Muyela as it generates power for the city. So within the context of all that, we have a massive environmental and social health program, impact studies and action plans. We have a suite of advanced infrastructure contracts and works, of which these particular works are part of. Then we have the Podihadi Dam, the main contracts, the Podihadi Dam, the transfer tunnel. We will have the feeder roads and bridges works as well down the line. These are meant obviously after the flooding to reopen the pathways and to restore, communications in the local for the local populations. We have livelihood restoration programs, and as I said, we have the hydropower components to the phase 2 scope, of which a lot of feasibility studies have already been done, and further studies are on the verge of being done. The next steps, are imminent. So phase 2 overview, that picture there generally shows you the locations of the current works. Right in the center there, you will see something written Podihadi Dam. That's the location of the Podihadi Dam. And in relation, the red line coming from the north, the top there is the A1 coming from Maseru through Mapolaneng, where there's that junction with a road that is going down to site, which we call the Pioneer, which is under construction. And the A1 goes all the way to the right of the screen to Mokhotlong. So as you can see, we have The red line that is going towards the left it depicts the power lines. We have a number of power line construction contracts ongoing at the moment. We have roads construction contracts that are currently ongoing. And we have the transfer tunnel. That's the blue line that you see that is going towards your left, is the transfer tunnel that we have spoken about. So that sort of gives a picture of overall picture of what the project is all about. Progress to date. Procurement commenced back in 2014. We started procuring the various consultants. Community consultations have been carried out and are still going on in certain areas as well. We have had reservoir demarcation. That is, we have a project that basically identified where the water line is going to be, and to try to determine all the affected fields and properties. We have had an asset registration program whereby all the affected properties have been registered. Some are still being registered. We have socio-economic development programs that are ongoing within the area. We have geotechnical investigations for advanced works, for main works that have been taking place as well as environmental social impact assessments and EMPs, management plans, EMPs. And we've had engineering designs, procurement of contractors has also started. We actually have a number of construction contracts going on. We have road construction, access roads, 4 construction contracts for the roads. We have currently 2 construction contracts in power, another smaller one that takes power from Tlokeng to the site has just been complete. And so that is part of the advanced infrastructure construction. We also have the diversion tunnel construction going on right now. I mean, this is the project where we are diverting, the river will be diverted across the dam. Okay, so we now talk about the anti-corruption and the history of it. As we are aware, the phase 1 did have some issues of corruption, which had serious consequences for companies and for individuals. And so we have been doing everything as phase 2 that we can to make sure that we do not go down the route of the corruption that we saw in phase 1. We have the anti-corruption policy, which is included in every contract and is included in every bid document and tender document alike. And we have a very strict zero tolerance stance towards issues of corruption. So one of the ways we're trying to do this is disclosure. Disclosure is extremely, extremely important. Disclosure of potential conflict of interest for individuals, even for the corporate. For example, any one of the bidders, you need to look into your own company, and if there's any relation or link with any member of the LHTA, then that has to be disclosed. That has to be declared up front. That's one way that we have been managing the issue of or the perception of corruption on this project. The important thing is that you disclose, and then it can be managed. Most of the potential conflicts can be managed, and they will not result in real conflict of interest. So just as an example, if you're a company and you have a link to any member of the LHDA in some way, please disclose it. You disclose it, you will not be disqualified because you have disclosed it. That's not the point of LHDA. We will have to manage it. One way of managing it is making sure that the evaluation of that contract does not include any conflicted people. It's a very simple way of managing it, but it happens like that when you disclose it. If you don't disclose it, and this comes out at a later stage, then it will have some very serious consequences, very, very serious consequences for the company, for the individuals, and we don't want to go down that road. Some of the consequences can be disqualification and even termination of contract if it is discovered at a much later stage. So I have stressed that. So please, there are forms in the declaration forms in the RFP. Complete those forms fully. Even if you think you don't have any conflict of interest, complete the form as such. Don't just submit a blank form or a partially completed form. We have had issues of that nature. Complete the form in full and submit it. We take these issues very, very seriously. Under phase 2 agreement, this is now preferential procurement. Article 10 has certain principles that we as a project adhere to. And one of the first and most important is competitiveness. You will see that in your RFPs and in any of the procurement that we do, we follow the principles of competitiveness, transparency, cost effectiveness, and quality. These are critical to us, these are critical to ensuring that the projects or the works are actually procured effectively. And in doing that, due to the fact that there's a huge amount of expenditure on these projects, and there is also a desire to ensure that the expenditures are done in a certain order of preference, of country preference. So the order is Lesotho, South Africa, SADC, and others. So you will see in the RFP, in one of the sections there, section, I think 7, it is designed in such a way that in the context of competitiveness, transparency, cost effective, and quality, we want to make sure that we procure according to the preference as stated. So the Lesotho, the share of works between Lesotho and South Africa in advanced infrastructure is intended to be 50-50. This is the overall share of works for advanced infrastructure as a whole, not for a particular project. And this is done obviously to maximize procurement opportunities, to minimize utilization of imported goods and skills and labor, and to maximize skills and technical transfer. So section 7 of this contract will have details on what it is. My colleagues will also explain further on what the preference structure looks like for this particular contract. This overall project affects, it covers a lot of area. Thousands of square kilometers are covered, and that inevitably has impacts on the environment. So we have a huge environmental program to make sure that we mitigate all the impacts of construction, or construction impacts on the environment. And you will see that even in your in this particular contract, there are ways and there are requirements, environmental requirements, for us to ensure that we we mitigate any possible impact on the environment. Community engagement. We are working within communities where people are living, where people have property, and we have to respect that and work around that responsibly. We have a host of protocols that LHDA use to guide and assist us in dealing with communities. So we have the communication protocols, the land access protocols, condition surveys, labor recruitment guidelines, and service providers. For the consultant contracts, particularly, and in this contract as well, you will also need to follow these. There are certain sections in the RFP that point and speak to these requirements when dealing with the communities. Although most of these will come to fore as you begin to craft the tender documents for the construction of the works. But however, as consultants, you will see that you will at some stage need to go to site. You don't just drive on people's lanes. You don't just make a U-turn there. You have to respect every square inch of land up in the highlands belongs to somebody, and we have to make sure that we respect that. And as far as the labor recruitment are concerned, if you have to engage anybody on site or any laborer to hold your staff to do this, to do any kind of work, you need to pay particular attention to the labor guidelines. Even if you want to engage your local service providers to make some food for you, or for transport, or for any other works that you as a consultant might want to do in the highlands there, please, you need to follow a transparent procurement process. This is extremely important. We also have the SHAKE framework that guides us, particularly on the health and safety for the engineering as well as the contracting construction works that we'll be doing. So the SHAKE framework basically is there to standardize the system, to standardize the required documents and the actions that we want to follow up. And so we have compliance monitoring for health and safety management plan, environmental management plan, quality management plan. In your submissions, it is important for us to see that you understand all these things that we're talking about. You understand how we intend to deal with the SHAKE framework as well. We also have the SHAKE auditor that audits all contracts, all advanced infrastructure contracts are being currently audited as well. And then the audit, it goes all the way through to the highest levels of the project. So it is important as you do your work, even as consultant, to follow approved strict SHAKE guidelines in the plans that you would have produced. Bid guidelines, you have seen the adverts in the paper and on the website. It is important to note here that when you respond, you need to respond to the instructions to bidder very, very carefully. Do not assume that you have seen it before, even though you may have seen a lot of our bids. Do not assume. Please read very carefully and use the templates provided for submittals. Please use the templates. You may have, for example, a CV that you have received in another template. Please use the template that is in the RFP. This is a quality-based evaluation, and the minimum pass for you to pass to go to the next, to the financial to the financial evaluation, you need to pass with 70% in the quality evaluation. So you need to pay particular attention to that. We won't even open your financial submission if you do not meet this pass mark. So this is very important that you focus on the quality of your submission. You focus on making sure that all required documents. There are checklists in sections 4, sections 5. Make sure that everything on that checklist is submitted and is signed. My colleague will explain later on about the submission, but how we're going to be submitting. Even though we will be submitting online or through a CD, please make sure that the letters are signed, they are on letterhead, so that you do not get disadvantaged for small things like that. The lowest price is not guaranteed to win the bid. As you are aware, we will not accept late bids. So there is that website there, lhda.org.lsc tender bulletin. It will give you more information about how you need to be tendering. This is, for this particular contract, the ancillary public buildings, this is the 4th procurement process. We have had 3 procurements in the past which did not, as most of you are aware, which did not go through for a number of reasons. Some of the reasons is really, some of the reasons are simple, as I've said: failure to respond to the requirements of the RFP. In some instances, we had unrealistic pricing due to not interpreting the scope very well, and a few other reasons, basically. So we do not want to go to the 5th procurement process. That's why we are stressing that please submit your, check your RFP, do it in time, make sure the submissions are in order. So thank you very much. I am going to now hand you over to my colleague, Khaiso, to take over and present the specifics on this contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, and good morning to everyone. In this section of the presentation, we are going to outline the objectives of the assignment, the contract scope, description of services that will be expected from the consultant, and we will also have a look at the sections of the RFP, and I will hand over to Mempo to take you through specific procurement requirements. So the impoundment of the Budihadi Reservoir is going to result in inundation of the Senqu, Mabunyane, Khubedu, Sihonghong, and Mokhotlong rivers, and some public facilities will end up submerged or become in close proximity to the reservoir demarcation line, which is at 2,080 meters above sea level. In addition to that, there's going to be a need for new or upgraded facilities to support safe implementation of the Phase 2 project, as there will be an increased demand for public services. Therefore, the objective of this assignment is to design and supervise construction of these ancillary public facilities that will be affected by the project. The scope of this contract has been divided into 5 packages. Package 1 is the upgrade of Mapulaning Police Station and housing. Package 2 is the upgrade of the Mokhotlong District Hospital. Package 3 is the relocation of 2 schools, one in Madingwaning and one at Hapotla. Package 4 is the relocation of the Mokhotlong prison facilities, and the last package is construction of new health posts around the reservoir. It's important to note that package 1 and 2 are high priority, mainly because they are going to cater for the increased demand of services once we have contractors coming on board. Packages 3, 4, and 5 are expected to be completed before the impoundment date, which is currently estimated to take place in December 2024. Bidders to also note that design and construction supervision of these packages may run concurrently. On the screen there, some of these things might not be very clear, but what you can see there is a map of the project area again, but this time what we are trying to highlight here is the 5 packages that I have just described. On the left-hand side of the map, that is Katsedam, just to orientate you, and on the right side of the map, you have Mokhotlong town. As Thomas has already described, you have somewhere towards the center of the map, you have the dam wall, and north of that you have Madingwane School, and further north to that you have Mapulane police station. Southeast of the dam wall, we have another school at Goung Hapotla, and in Mokhotlong town, we have Mokhotlong prison and Mokhotlong hospital. So package 1 of the scope, as I have already said, is the upgrading of Mapulane police station, together with a holding cell and staff housing. The scope includes construction of a new police station with a holding cell and upgrade of existing houses and construction of additional staff housing. The requirements for this police station will be finalized in consultation with the Lesotho Mounted Police Services and LHDA. Package 2 is the upgrading of Mokhotlong District Hospital, which is basically the extension and repair of the surgical unit and laboratory unit, including upgrades to the power supply, which is currently unreliable. The extensions and repairs shall be designed and constructed in accordance with the standards of the Ministry of Health and LHDA. Package 3 is the relocation of the two schools that I have already mentioned, Madingwane and Goung Hapotla. Madingwane School will be, after impoundment, will be 50 meters from the reservoir demarcation line. If you look at the picture on the top right of the screen, it just shows you the location of the school relative to where the water level will be after impoundment. So the school is also less than 150 meters from the proposed construction spoil dump for the Budihari Tunnel intake. Therefore, and hence the need for relocation. So the scope of this particular package is basically to relocate the school buildings, including the church and the staff housing. The picture at the bottom there just shows the location of the school currently in Madingwane village. Still part of package 3, we have the Goung Hapotla Primary School, which is within the Hapotla village. The Hapotla village will be underwater due to impoundment of the dam, and therefore the entire village will ultimately be relocated. The relocation of the school, together with the staff housing and the church, are what forms this particular package, but the rest of the village will be relocated by others. The picture on the top right there just shows the location of the village today, and the one right below gives you an indication of where the village is relocated relative to the anticipated level of water after impoundment. So consultants shall prepare designs based on the standards of the Ministry of Education and Training, and in the RFP we've included prototype drawings for reference in preparation of the bid. Other requirements will also be finalized in consultation with the ministry. Package 4 is the prison facilities relocation. If you look at the image on the top right there, the blue area is the anticipated level of water, and then the green patches are the existing agricultural fields in the prison area. The purple area there is just shows the prison buildings. So as you can see, the reservoir demarcation line will divide the existing prison complex, and therefore facilities need to be relocated to a higher elevation within the prison grounds. The construction of the prison will include the demolition of the existing prison, construction of a new prison, landscaping, and creation of new agricultural fields at the prison grounds. Package 5, which is the last package, is the construction of new health posts around the Budihadi Reservoir area. So there's a plan to construct 4 new health posts, which will be required in villages where access to health services is currently difficult. The standards for the health posts have been provided in the RFP, and other requirements, including the final location of the post, will be determined in consultation with LHDA and the Ministry of Health. So the services that will be expected from the consultant have been divided into 6 stages. The first stage is the Inception Report stage, wherein the consultant will be expected to prepare an Inception Report that includes a project budget, a contracting strategy, the work program, quality assurance manual, a safety, health, environment, and quality management plan. This report will be submitted as one report for all 5 packages. In preparation for the report, the consultant is also expected to coordinate site visits with the relevant ministries. Stage 2 is the concept design stage, which will be prepared for each package separately. And for each package, the consultant will prepare a concept design and site plans, check conformity of the concept, and advise on use of land, update the anticipated cost and program of the project, and prepare and submit the concept design report. Stage 3 will be the design development stage, which is also prepared for each package separately. And for each package, the consultant will review the concept designs and consult with the local statutory authorities, develop designs, construction systems, materials, and components, incorporate and coordinate all services, and update the designs, costing, and program accordingly. Stage 4 is the documentation and procurement stage, which will also be done for each package separately. And for each package, the consultant will prepare tender documentation, complete construction documentation, and call for tenders. The tender documents shall include designs, health and safety reports and specifications, or the designer's health and safety report and specifications, detailed drawings suitable for construction, evaluation criteria and procedures, the tender program, bills of quantities and methods of measurement, and specifications. The consultant will also be expected to prepare a tender evaluation report for each package and contract documents. Stage 5, the construction stage. For each package, the consultant will be expected to administer and perform duties and obligations assigned to the principal agent in the JBCC building contract, give possession of the site to the contractors, issue contract documentation, inspect the works for conformity to the contract documentation, produce monthly progress reports, issue certificates for practical completion, and assist the client to obtain occupation certificates. Final stage is the closeout stage, and once again for each package separately, the consultant will be expected to provide documentation for completion, handover, and operation of each package or each project, issue the completion certificates, provide as-built drawings and relevant technical and contractual documentation, construction completion reports, and final environmental and health and safety closure report. So you will note that from stage 2 to stage 6, each package shall be submitted as a separate deliverable, against which separate payments will be made by the client. On this slide here, it might not be entirely clear to everyone, but we're just trying to show you the indicative program. What is important to note here is that the indicative program is aligned to section 3.8 of the RFP, which outlines milestones for submission of draft and final deliverables. Also take note of the client review cycles, as they will ultimately affect the duration of each stage. A more detailed indicative program is included in the RFP. So in short, the RFP document has 11 sections, section 1 to 11. The first section is the letter of invitation from LHDA. You will also have instructions to bidders in section 2A and 2B, the terms of reference, which is where you will find the scope of work in section 3. Section 4 and 5 contain forms that are to be returned as submission of a technical proposal and a financial proposal. Thomas has already talked about the LHWP anti-corruption policy. It's included in section 6. Section 7 is the evaluation criteria, and the rest of the sections are contract related and payment related sections. I will now hand over to Mempo to take you through the evaluation process and specific procurement requirements.
Thank you, Mikhaiso, and good morning, everyone. I will now take you through the evaluation process. Please note that this is a 3-stage evaluation process, where stage 1 or step 1 is the administrative compliance. Please ensure that you use the checklist in section 4 and 5 and ensure that you submit all the required documents. Step 2 will involve quality evaluation, where we require a minimum score of 70. Bidders who fail to achieve 70%, their bids will not be evaluated further. Step 3 or stage 3 will be evaluation of price and preference. If you note there, bids which fail step 1 or 2 will be rejected. Financial proposals will be returned unopened. If you note there, each criterion is assessed by rating on a 1 to 5 scale, where 1 point equals to poor, weak equals to 2 points, adequate equals to 3 points, good equals to 4 points, and outstanding equals to 5 points. This is compulsory. For definition of both Lesotho National Enterprise and South African BOEs, please refer to section 2A to get these definitions. Instruction to bidders. Section 2A, please read and ensure that you understand these instructions. Section 2B, these are specific details that are related to this contract. This is a pre-bid meeting and it's compulsory. Bidders are expected to submit statement confirming attendance or viewing of the recording of the meeting online. This is to be submitted to our procurement email so that this can be signed by an LHD representative. There will be a site visit, but this is not compulsory. But bidders are advised to attend. These are scheduled for 3rd and 4th June 2021. Interested bidders to confirm via our procurement email. We expect to receive emails confirming attendance by close of business on the 28th May 2021. Please note that submission date for this contract is 5th July 2021 at 14 hours Lesotho time. The place of submission is LHD 9th floor, Lesotho Highlands Water Building, Lesotho Bank, on a CD in a sealed envelope or online via LHD's e-procurement portal. Please see section 2B clause 23.1 and clause 23.5 for details. Note that late submissions will not be accepted. Proposal opening. Opening will be on the 5th of July at 15 hours time. To be streamed online. Interested bidders who wish meeting should register via our profile. Please see section 2B clause 25.1 for details. List of bidders will be put on the website within 7 days after the opening. List will be valid for 120 calendar days from the submission. Clarification. In this case, we expect the last day for request for clarification is the 21st of June 2021. Answers to clarification will be sent to all potential bidders. That means those who have attended this meeting and those who have downloaded the RFP online. Basis for ineligibility or disqualification of bids. Please look at section 2A, all those clauses. Please ensure that you read and understand these clauses. Bidders may associate with others or as sub-consultants. Please note that price adjustment applies for this contract and details are in the RFP. It is important to comply with the format set out in the bid forms. Please follow the instruction in section 2 of the RFP. Submission to be signed by an authorized representative of the bidder, and authorization shall be in the form of a written power of attorney. Please refer to the guidelines on the website. For the guidelines, you can, on the website, please, these are in the reference information. If you go to our website and reference information, there are guidelines that will guide you on how we evaluate the RFPs. For key staff, please note that availability should be stated in the proposal. Please ensure that whoever you put in as key staff appear in only one proposal. Contract award information will be posted on the LHD website. I will now hand over to Ndate Thomas for question and answer sessions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mempo, Mekaiso. We are aware that we have had some minor communications issues towards the end of the presentation, but we will share this presentation on the website so you can have a chance to fill in the gaps if you lost anything. We are going to be responding to a few questions that we have so far received, and please note that at any time from now you can submit your questions in writing to the email that has been provided. So the first question that we received is, what does having connection with LHDA mean? This is in relation to the anti-corruption. There is an anti-corruption policy document in the RFP, and it clearly states, it clearly describes the connections that are there. For example, if you have a relation within your company in LHDA, you need to declare that. If one of your directors is working for LHDA, you need to declare that. So the principle is declare anything. If you are not sure, just declare, or you can even ask in writing, and then we can assist as you prepare your tender. But please read the anti-corruption policy. The other question that we received is, will the consultant participate in the tender evaluation if they are to prepare the evaluation report? So the answer to that is yes. The consultant will conduct the tender evaluation. LHDA will be present there as observers, but it is the consultant's task to perform. Let me see if we have another question there. How much time on submission of the stage report? How much time does the client budget to assess, comment, and accept the final report? In general, we have allowed for about 1 to 2 weeks for the client to review and to give responses to a submission or to a deliverable. So I think 1 or 2 weeks is the allowance there, and you can also look at the indicative program that is part of the RFP. It has that detail in place. The other question that I'm just reading now is for pricing for supervision. One would need to have fixed construction periods unless we are to assume or work on the program. So again, we have indicative times in your indicative program bound to this RFP. So you stick to that indicative program. It gives construction durations that we are expecting, and that is also for you to use in your pricing for your staff and for your supervision services. So please have a look at that as well. In another question says, the questions are coming in fast here, sorry. For the key staff, only one personnel per package. Is it extra construction monitoring level part-time or full-time? I think we will need to have a look at this a little bit more in detail and respond to you later on. Please expand more on why at the 4th time this particular project goes through procurement again. I think we have explained in general, there are many other reasons that are there, but in general we have given an explanation of why we are in the 4th procurement process for this contract. You will have a look at it again when we share the presentation on the website. Is association restricted to companies that attend the pre-bid meeting? I'm not sure what that question is referring to. I will have a look at it at some stage and try and please, if you don't get any response, feel free to send your question again through email so that we can share the responses with everybody else that has attended. I will just give another minute or two I see somebody is typing. It's 10 o'clock now. We are doing well in terms of time. So I'm just going to give another minute to read to see if there's another question coming. Yes, the other question is that are packages going to be tendered separately for the purpose of prices? Yes, for the purposes of your tendering, as we have stated in the RFP, yes, the packages will be tendered separately. However, the winning or the consultant who will be doing this job will have an opportunity to propose a different strategy or another strategy which will be handled at that time. There is another question here that says, can we bring partners that have not attended the briefing? Any one of the partner can attend the briefing. So it's yes, you can. Once somebody attends the briefing as part of the tendering or the bidding entity, it doesn't have to be everybody else within that bidding entity. I think that's all the questions that we have received so far. And if you have any other questions or unsure, then please send it in writing, and then we can respond to that officially. So on behalf of LHDA, I would like to thank you for attending this pre-bid meeting. I would like to thank everybody. We had up to 56 attendees, which is a good turnout. And I would like to wish you all good luck in preparing your submissions. You can now start to sharpen your pencils, and we would expect some good submissions coming from you guys. And if you have any questions, again, please submit them in writing in time, at least up to 14 days before we close the tenders, so that we can have time to respond carefully. Look at our website. You will download and fill in the gaps, as I said, on those sections that you may have missed. So thank you very much, and good luck. Thank you.